Right guys, so now we shall be discussing about the contents of the sacral canal. So you can see this bone is your sacrum bone. Now we shall be discussing about the contents of the sacral canal. Contents of the sacral canal or sacral, whatever it is. Right. So all of you can see that this is the sacrum bone. Right. Now in the sacrum bone, if you look onto the top like this, right? So these two are called as the ala of the sacrum bone. Okay. Just behind the body here, you can find an opening here, right? So this opening here, you see, this is called as sacral canal. Now this sacral canal, in a simple language to speak, the sacral canal is having an inlet, it is having an outlet also, right? So as you can see here, this is an inlet here and this is an outlet here, right? Now this outlet over here is also called as sacral hiatus. Okay, it is called as sacral hiatus, but we shall come into that in a minute. So this is the inlet. So what are the structures that are passing through this sacral canal? So that is what we are discussing now, the contents of the sacral canal. So how do you remember it? Remember by a mnemonic METS, METS. Okay. So what does M stand for? M stand for meninges. What meninges? Spinal meninges. M stands for spinal meninges. Now after the spinal meninges, E stands for equina. What is that? Cauda equina. That is called cauda equina. And third important thing is T. T stands for filum terminale or phylum terminale. Phylum terminale. And fourth important thing is S. S stands for sacral vessels. Okay, they are lateral sacral vessels. So these are the four structures that are passing through the canal, sacral canal. Now what are the structures that are coming out? I mean the sacral hiatus, right? So this one, as I told you, this is called as sacral hiatus. So what are the structures that are coming out of the sacral hiatus? Actually, if you look carefully, there are three important structures that are coming like this. Okay, so what are those three important structures? One is called as the fifth sacral nerve, right? So one is called as the fifth sacral nerves, and after that you have got the coccygeal nerves. You have got the coccygeal nerves, right? And finally you have got the phylum terminale. You have got the phylum terminale. So these are the three things that are coming out of the sacral hiatus. Now if you look at this, what is this phylum terminale as well as cauda equina, guys? So just look at this now. All of you know that this part is your spinal cord, right? So this is your spinal cord. Now exactly here in the sense at the level of L1. Okay, so let me put up a line. So at the level of L1, actually the spinal cord ends. Spinal cord ends at the level of L1. Now from the L1, you see a tuft of fibers that are coming down all the way like this, right? So these tuft of fibers which are coming down from L1, these are called as cauda equina. So these fibers over here, right? So these fibers over here are called as cauda equina. Okay, cauda equina. Now surrounding this spinal cord, you have got meninges, you have got pia mater, middle arachnoid matter and outer dura mater. So this is the pia mater like this, right? So this is the pia mater that is coming all the way down and it is continuing along with this what? Cauda equina. So here also the same thing. Pia mater is coming down all the way and it is continuing with the cauda equina. Okay. Now after the pia mater, what is the next layer we have, guys? The next layer we have got is the arachnoid, and after that we have got the dura mater, right? So let us see where is the arachnoid matter fitting into. So this is the arachnoid matter. Now this arachnoid matter comes all the way down and joins here, right? So this is the arachnoid matter that is coming down all the way here, right? So next important thing is that just beneath the arachnoid matter, whatever fluid you have got, this fluid, all of you know that this is your cerebrospinal fluid, right? So subarachnoid space has got cerebrospinal fluid, and you know in this subarachnoid space the circle of Willis is floating inside the cerebrospinal fluid, right? So within the subarachnoid space you have got the cerebrospinal fluid, right? Now after this, the next layer you have got is your what? Dura mater, right? So this dura mater is also coming all the way down and it is meeting the arachnoid membrane at this point here, right? Usually the dura mater and the arachnoid mater, they don't meet each other. So the only point where dura mater is meeting with the arachnoid mater at which point? At which level, guys? So this is the level at which they are meeting. And what is this level? This is S2. Okay. So S2 is the place where arachnoid and dura mater meet. This is the place where the arachnoid as well as the dura mater they meet. Okay. But in the cauda equina, right, which meningeal layer is continuous with the cauda equina? That is your pia mater. Okay. So this red one inside is called as your pia mater and this is called as your arachnoid and this one is called as your dura mater. Okay. So these are the three layers. The last two layers, I mean the arachnoid as well as dura are meeting at the level of S2 and pia is continuing all along the cauda equina also, right? So if someone asks you what is the best place to do a lumbar puncture, then you have to tell it as between L1 as well as S2. In between that, wherever if you do, the spinal cord is not injured over here, right? Now next important thing is that there is a syndrome here. What is this syndrome? Is that you see cauda equina here. Now sometimes this cauda equina undergoes compression, right? So this is called as cauda equina syndrome and this is called as cauda equina syndrome. So compression of cauda equina is called as cauda equina syndrome. Now in this, if the cauda equina is compressed, what are the signs which you see in a patient? What are the symptoms which you see? Remember by the mnemonic fails. Okay. What does F stand for? F stands for flaccid paraplegia. Flaccid paraplegia. Okay. Next A. A stands for absence of knee and ankle jerk reflex. So absence of knee as well as ankle jerk. Okay. Next I. I stands for impotence. I stands for impotence. Next here L. L stands for the late bladder and bowel movement. Late bladder and bowel movement. Okay. Now what do you mean by late bladder and bowel movement? Patient will not have any kind of continence for urine as well as for feces, right? So this is called as late bladder as well as bowel movement. And finally S stands for saddle shaped anesthesia. Saddle shaped anesthesia. Now what do you mean by saddle shaped anesthesia is that on the buttocks here you see this is a saddle shaped region where the patient will absolutely not have any kind of sensation. So such sensation over here is called as saddle shaped anesthesia. Okay. Now all of you can look at this bone, guys. This is your sacral bone. As I have already told you, the top surface of the sacrum is called as ala, right? So these are called as the ala of the sacral bone. Now one very important thing you need to know is that there are some structures that are passing over the ala. So what are these structures from medial side to lateral side? We shall discuss. Okay. So from medial to lateral, from medial side all the way to the lateral side, what are these structures? We shall discuss. Now how do you remember these structures is that you can remember by a mnemonic SLIO. 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 Okay. So what are these structures in SLIO? Now first important structure is that S stands for sympathetic trunk. Okay. So medially you have got a trunk all the way like this and this trunk which is located here is called as a sympathetic trunk. Okay. So this is your S. And after that L. Now what does L stands for? L stands for lumbosacral trunk. Okay. So L here stands for lumbosacral trunk. You see this one over here is your lumbosacral trunk. So this is your L. Okay. SL. And what does I over here stand for? All of you look here. I here stands for an artery that is called as iliolumbar artery. So let me write it with the red. So this artery which you can see here, I is called as iliolumbar artery. And finally We have got O here. O is also called as obturator nerve. O stands for obturator nerve. So from medial to lateral on the ala of the sacrum, you have got these structures. So what are these structures? Once again, let us write. S stands for sympathetic trunk. Sympathetic trunk. And L stands for lumbosacral plexus. Lumbosacral trunk. Right. I stands for iliolumbar artery. And O stands for obturator nerve. O stands for obturator nerve. So these are the structures that are located all the way from the medial side to the lateral side.